So, what were your thoughts on our opening NHL playoff stint here?
Well, you know what? It kind of went like I thought. I mean, the Rangers swept. That's no big deal. Dallas kind of scared everybody. I mean, losing the first two at home, but then going and winning three in a row. Tonight's the last game. Actually, it starts around 7:30 ish. Actually, the Rangers are winning right now in Game One. They're up on Carolina 3-1 at the end of one period. But it kind of went like I thought. You guys picked the Bruins, you and John. I did not. And the way they scared everybody, that's why I did not. I mean, I'm a Bruin fan, so I understand it. I get it. And yeah, that's why I didn't do it. But the other games, Edmonton did their thing. Vancouver, they won. So it's kind of where we thought. Colorado took out Winnipeg. They can just score. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it went. We all kind of got that right in a way. So
Tony's with us as well, folks. And Tony, the Rangers look pretty good in the opening round, I gotta unfortunately say.
Boy, they look good right now. I tell you, they're
right.
banging people around, and they're up 3-1, and yeah, they're looking real good. I'm not giving up on them. I'm not like Bob. I don't jump a bandwagon deal. I'm
Yeah.
sticking with them. I picked them to win in the finals, so I'm sticking with my pick.
Well, I picked them to get in the finals. I just picked Dallas to beat them at the end. But I don't know. Dallas isn't really impressing me in this round. That's for sure. With Vegas taking them 7, so I don't know. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's definitely scary for my bracket if Dallas loses. But
mean? Right.
I got to eat a little crow, take some little humble pie here because I basically wrote off the Panthers as a fluke, and they look pretty formidable. I haven't seen the Tampa Bay Lightning look this diminished against an opponent in forever.
Mr. E's gonna be upset about that when he gets here. That's for sure.
That's why I figure
Um,
out let me air this out now before Mr. E comes on. We don't need to invoke any grief.
yeah, right. You know what? No, like Florida was that team that you thought they were now last year. They weren't that good, but they really have been good, and they've got a couple of players that have been just lighting, the lamp. So yeah, I mean they're tough. We're gonna have a tough time beating them, but I do think we can beat them because we're good enough to do it, and we owe them one. I just don't know if we will, but it would be a nice revenge job by Boston.
Oh, it's overtime. We're gonna lose.
Yeah, I did text you that last night because we haven't won all year in overtime. We've been terrible. And I mean, hey, we were up 3 games to 1. We almost blew it. That should never have happened. Not when
It
you're up
would,
3-1 like that.
it would have been the first time ever to lose, to be up 3-1 and lose in the first round 3 years in a row.
Really. Wow. Wow.
I didn't realize they were on the brink of three in a row. I knew last year. I didn't realize the year before too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't do
Oof.
it. So I think is Kip coming in or is he just having problems with his
Kim's probably having technical difficulties. He uses the phone for coming on to the show, so I'm sure he'll figure it out soon. But Mr. E, I think, is stuck in traffic. He should be on in a few minutes.
okay.
Um, Tony, I think you predicted the Islanders in 7. I love that prediction, and frankly, the Islanders should have been more competitive in that series. I thought they should have won Game 2. That was inexplicable, that loss. They should have held home ice better. But there you saw it was a 4-1 series.
They didn't show up. They did nothing right. I mean, they just didn't show up. I don't. I mean, I really. I was just. I had saw them last year. They played really tough, and I think they had a real battle with Philly last year. And then, I thought, another year, and I saw them in some great moments. And then, gosh, they were horrible in the playoffs. This round, I'm telling you, they just didn't show up at all. I mean, I don't know what was going on with them behind the scenes, but they didn't play on the ice very well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
throw 3-1 leading the third on the road. You gotta seal the deal. You
Right.
can't give up 4 goals.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Carolina is a good team in fairness to them. They had something to do with that for sure. And this series is far from over too. They're going to give the Rangers all they can handle. They're pretty much matched with them on every category offensively. I mean, John and I went over it on the phone. They're both pretty evenly matched. I know the Rangers look like the team to beat, and they do have the home ice, but Carolina's going to have a say in this before it's over. This is a long way from over right now.
I hope you're right, Bob, because I'm not picking the Rangers again. I can't do it. That's gotta stop. So
Right, right,
I hope they at least steal one of these first two games on the road.
right. Well, I mean, Carolina almost. I don't want to say they almost have to do it because in hockey, it's easier to win on the road than it is in other sports. So, I mean, they can win 5 or 7. I mean, they actually could win. They probably wouldn't win Game 7, but they could. They have a lot better chance than the NBA teams doing that. So, yeah, like I mean, they have to win one game in New York. Which one it is, it doesn't really matter. And they can actually hold home ice at home. They're pretty tough. Like they really are. Like I said, they're a hard out. They're hard to beat.
Now I believe all of us, all our finals, I know our final picks to win it all are all in play. All of us.
Right.
I'm not sure about all our final matchups. I can't recall, but John's picks looking pretty good. The Avalanche won 4-1.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to happen.
No, I thought Winnipeg would play a little bit better, but you know what? The Lynch, I think they scored 298 goals. That is a heck of a lot. That's 300 goals, basically. I mean, you do that, and you're going to be tough to beat. And they did win a few years ago. So, I mean, and they pretty much have the same team with the same goalie. So you can't count them out. You never know, you know.
And Tony, I think you declared the Kings would be a bust, and that seemed to have been the case. They got pretty rolled.
Yeah, they're, you know, what's this, 2 or 3 years in a row now, the Islanders have knocked them out in the first round. The Oilers, I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is 2 or 3 years in a row with the Oilers knocking the Kings out.
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
jeez, I didn't know that either.
I believe it's 3 years in a row now that they faced each other in the first round, and the Oilers have beaten them. I'll tell you, the Oilers have three really great players. Really great players. I was looking over McDavid. He is really fast on the ice. I mean, he can really move the ball the puck up the ice. I mean, he is really fast on his skates. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Wayne Gretzky's speed. When he takes off, you can't catch him. I mean, he's really fast. Yeah, and I think that's the one thing in hockey that I'm watching more of. That the teams with the most speed can just overtake the other team and wear them down. It's just certain guys, certain players on certain teams are just faster than the others, and you can see it if you watch for it and start noticing it more. The teams who have more speed usually are the teams that come out on top.
Well, I kind of learned that from Edmonton with Gretzky because I call it Western hockey because it's more wide open. I actually talked to a guy that played with somebody with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's his best friend. They played in Finland together growing up. And he actually got up, walked across, where I was sitting, left his friend behind and just talked to me the rest of the night. And he goes, "You're absolutely right." And it's really about offense. And because defense is built in. And John and I had a talk about this on the phone the other day. And at first, he likes the Devils, so he's all about Brodeur and the defense and the whole thing. But I explained to him, I go, when you have a great offense, it can nullify the goalie. And the 2 times or 3 times that New Jersey made the playoffs and even the finals, but didn't win, the other team had a better offense. Like the one year with Colorado, they had Patrick Roy on goal, but they had a better offense. They had Joe Sakic and Forsberg. They had a bunch of them, and they would just beat them. And once you have that kind of firepower, it's almost like a flood. You just can't stop the water, and they're all coming at you at once, no matter what. So, yeah, I agree. And then John went over it, because John's the stat guy. So as I'm talking to him, he goes, "Bob, all these teams in it, they're all in the top 5 in power plays. And he goes, the teams that are out weren't even close. I go, right. I go, and you know, and they're up there in total goals for the whole year. And Rob, it's all those teams that are still in the playoffs now. And that's really what it is. And I think I kind of got a conversion from John a little bit, but he still loves his goalies. I'm not saying you don't have to have a good goalie. I mean, it's important that you have a pretty good one at least. But defense is built into the game. It's so hard to score. These guys, this big guy standing in front of this little net, and it's just hard to get it by him. But when you have a skilled, power, high flying offense, it's much easier. Just like Tony said, they'll just outskate you. And a lot of times the big brutes can't hit them because they're going so fast. They'll just skate right by them and they can't get a good hit. And if they do, that's when the fast team will get 1 or 2 guys that are big to protect their little guys that can score. That's really what it is.
Bob, you really espouse offense, and I think this is definitely something to be said there. I agree.
Right.
But in general, aren't the best teams usually good at they're well-rounded. They're good at everything. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. They do everything well, right?
No, because you know what? Pittsburgh didn't. For years, their goalie was just but they won because of their great offense with Lemieux and then Crosby and all of the other ones that they had. So no, I mean, there were years when Pittsburgh could have been taken out easily. A couple of times they were on the ropes, but their offense always got them through. And they're just so look. Even when I went to the One Devils game last year and they played Pittsburgh, I didn't even sit down in the seat. Literally, it was not even a minute in, and boom, you scored a goal like that. I mean, so it's really about offense, and I understand defense is important. I never throw defense under the bus. I just want everybody
Really?
No, I don't. I'm fair with both sides. I'm trying. Look, everybody brags about defense, but nobody cares about offense. I'm just showing you that there's both, and offense is just as important, if not more so. So, okay, yeah, where would the Dodgers be right now if they didn't have the offense they have?
Tomorrow night at our local church, we've got Mike Socia and Rick Dempsey speaking tomorrow night. So they've invited me to come along. I'm going to go over there to the church tomorrow night.
Rick was the catcher for the Orioles.
And as we saw, Mike Socia is brilliant, and a fantastic speaker. So I'm sure he'll hit that out of the park.
Really good to listen to those guys. Yeah, I just can't tell Mike how much of an Oriole guy I am.
So are you going to record this, Tony, so we can upload it for the show?
No.
Okay. So we'll get the recap from you.
All right.
Well, so we got Mr. E and Kip in the wings. Mr. E is going to be on any second. Kip is having technical difficulties.
Let me ask you how the Yankees do today.
I think they won. Well, actually, no, it was a rain delay when I saw it last. So I think they're still playing.
It's a rain delay in I think the bottom of the 8th.
Right.
And the Yankees are up like 5-2, and Mr. Soto hit a bases loaded double to clear the bases to get them up. It was 2-2. I love Soto.
Now, just think of the good news. Next year, he'll be doing it for the Dodgers. I love Soto. Or the Mets.
Hey, Rob, can we take him off the show?
Unfortunately, he has ownership in half the show, Tony. That's going to be a challenge to do.
I'll buy him out.
Okay. Bob.
Yes.
If he's writing the check, I don't know how I can refuse. How are you going to refuse? He's going to pay you, actually. You're the half owner.
Yeah. How do we jump into baseball from this? It's because he wanted to throw the Yankees at me. That's why.
Well, why not? I mean, we're still waiting for the hockey guys. I mean,
right.
Baseball, has anything really changed since we had Mike Socia on? Is the same teams that were doing well still doing well?
I would say so. Nothing's really. I mean, actually, the Dodgers are getting hotter if possible. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk here, but they really are. I mean, I think they're winning again today. Actually, they were when I saw it last. They're up 2-0. So, yeah, they're starting to pull away. I mean.
The Padres were getting hot, and they made a great trade.
They did. They got a guy from the Marlins.
He's good.
Yes, he is. He's their best player. Luis Areza, I think his name is.
He went 4 for 5 yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, but they're not going to catch the Dodgers. It doesn't matter because he's not going to be able to do that every day. And the Dodgers are they're already what 3 games in front. They're going to start pulling away. It won't be long.
That
And
division is a joke. Come on.
yeah, it is. Hey, Mr. E.
We got Mr. E in the house, folks, representing.
Sorry I'm late, guys.
That's
Glad
okay,
to make
Mr.
it.
E.
No worries. We actually dipped a little into baseball while waiting for you guys. How are the Rays doing?
It's mixed in the early season. They're a very up and down team. They've had some injury troubles. So yeah, it's I don't think it's a very positive outlook for the team, because in general, I just think they've lost too much over previous seasons. So I don't think they're a playoff team this year, in all honesty.
No, they definitely don't look the same as they did the last few years, Mr. E. Not going to lie about that.
But they'll give the Yankees fits, right?
I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. We need another team to run interference while Baltimore takes the division because I don't think Tampa Bay can do it this year. I don't. Um, but we always need that little extra. And the Red Sox can throw in their little 2 cents too. And they're playing pretty well, actually. They're not that bad. So, yeah, anything to run interference, that'd be fine.
So,
You know.
Mr. E, looking over this first round here, did anything really surprise you in terms of outcomes?
Uh, if I'm being honest, no. It was largely what we expected it to be. We knew Washington wasn't going to take out the Rangers. We knew that Nashville, despite, my own predictions of them being a dark horse, were really a long shot to do anything. We knew Carolina was probably the better team over the Islanders. Um, we're still ongoing in the first round, believe it or not. And this is the crazy thing that the NHL has going, where they're playing a game 7 on the same day as a game 1, that are in 2 different rounds.
Mm.
Yeah, well, the NBA had a game 7 after the day after a game 1 this weekend.
Yep.
I don't like that scheduling. I feel like each round should sort of be finalized before going into the next round. I get it because they're trying to save days, in June. I get it, but
They
I
used to
don't
do
like
it at
it.
one time, Mr. A. They would wait for everybody to be done each round and then move on. They used to do that at one time.
Yeah. So Vegas and Dallas, that's still anybody's series. It's a game 7. It's a best of 1. Um,
Who do you like?
I mean, I picked Dallas, so I'm going to stick with Dallas. But
Yeah, me too.
I know Kip picked
Vegas.
Vegas to win that, and
He picked Vegas to win it all, by the way.
yeah.
So
Well,
he's on the
well,
ropes.
Vegas is a good team, and they're capable of doing that. Especially, they squeaked into the playoffs, but that was because they were holding guys out of the lineup, for salary cap reasons. Well, some people will say for salary cap reasons, others will say there were legitimate injuries. And it's one of those things that exists in the NHL where circumventing the cap is possible, and half the teams in the league are doing it. So I think pointing out one team that does it, doesn't really mean too much. You know, by the way, I'll have you know that when this loophole was voted for closing, the Lightning were one of 2 teams to vote against it. And then there's the whole thing where they um, go 18 million over the cap and win the cup, in their second cup run. So it is what it is. It's the way the NHL rules are right now. And I guess I digress quite a bit there, but the rest of the first round,
Who I'm curious to you, forget the what the series numbers ended up being in terms of win losses. Who looked like the most dominant team?
Oh, by far, I think the Panthers looked dominant
I
in the
agree.
first round. And if I'm being objective, I knew that going into the series that the Panthers were the better team. Um, but there's that homer streak where I always want to see my home team do well.
Sure.
Um, and Toronto, they lost because of goaltending. Came down to it. Um,
He's
Joe
actually
Wall,
he's actually
Joe,
playing the best right now. He's actually given up the least amount of goals so far. He's number one so far in the playoffs. Swayman. I just hope it stays that way. And we're gonna need it because we don't score no more like we used to. So yeah.
yeah, well, I mean that's definitely part of it, but you look at the other side of that series in Toronto, and Samsonov was pretty bad overall. His numbers were not good.
Mhm.
He lost all four of the games that were lost, in real terms. Joe Wall was the guy who won three games for Toronto there.
Yeah, it was great.
And he's a good goaltender. He's a good big game goaltender. He's what they need in Toronto. It's just unfortunate that in game seven he wasn't able to go. Um, and that's definitely a storyline for that series.
And Boston got a break. I mean, that thing went off the goalie's shoulder right
Yeah.
into the net. I mean, it hit the post and boom, right in.
So are we in consensus, gentlemen, that the Panthers were the most dominant team in the first round? Tony, Bob, you agree with that?
Shut up, bro. We got to play him next. Yes, they were great. I well, I don't know. Come to think of it, because the Oilers really kind of did mess up the Kings pretty quickly, and they can score. And uh, yeah, but
Yeah, but the other side of that is the Kings can't score,
that's
and they've
right,
been searching for a goaltender since
right.
since they got rid of Quick.
And I was
So
just ready to say, but the Kings aren't as good as obviously Tampa Bay is, so that has to be taken into consideration. No, but yeah, no, I guess so. And by the way, what do you think was wrong with Tampa Bay? Because I know you love them. Can't. All right, let's.
Well, I mean, going into the season, you look at what moves they made. They brought in basically an entire new bottom six.
Mhm.
Very, very few guys carried over from there. They, they brought in some depth defensemen, who didn't end up being very good, and ultimately weren't on the roster, in the playoffs. And that's a big issue, right? So now you're pulling on two guys from the American League in Lilleberg and Crozier, who, by the way, looked decent, right? But they're guys who aren't able to eat the minutes really that are required, in the playoffs. And Lilleberg, there's still some issues with his turnaround. I don't know if you caught it, but on several of the goals, like those bottom two guys were sort of out of position. And the other thing is, some of the forwards didn't really help out, and made turnovers in the defensive zone, but it's who they were all season, right? It's not like we learned anything new in the playoffs. You know, they were not they showed that they were a team that barely got into the playoffs, right? They were wild card number one, and they put in they put in effort. The heart really wasn't there for a lot of the guys, right? They didn't play with heart. They played with calculated emotions, and that wasn't going to serve them well. Any series that you're coming in as an underdog, you've got to play with emotion. I don't care what sport you're in, that's true. And
Right.
they just didn't have it. Some of that may be on the coaching. I would suspect that in the offseason we see some changes with some of the assistant coaches. I've never been a fan of Jake of what's his name, Blashill, Jeff Blashill. He's the assistant coach that ran the defense, and I've never been a huge fan. You've got Jeff Halpern running the special teams, um, who is a great face-off guy. Was a great face-off guy in his career and could really do penalty kill. But there wasn't a lot of different plays on the power play ultimately. And if there had been, the Lightning would have been able to take advantage of the power plays a little more in the series. I mean, that they were scoring something over 20%, so that's pretty good playoff numbers for the power play. I thought it was absolutely absurd on one of the broadcasts where I heard I don't remember which specific broadcast it was, but they were talking about how Florida's power play wasn't good enough, and Florida's power play was clicking at 30% at the time.
Right, right.
And it's like, what
Doing
more do you
something.
want? Any power play that's above 25%, that's a good power play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're
Um,
doing
Nitpicker's
something.
got a nitpick, mystery. Now, Tony, I'm seeing a game in the back. I'm seeing the game in the background. What? Give us a score update and who you think's going to win this.
Rangers are up 3-1.
Oh, it's a replay.
No, it's
No,
live.
it's live.
Oh, it's the live game. Okay, 3-1
Yeah,
still.
it's 3-1, 11 minutes left in a second period.
Mm.
since I haven't been able to tune into the game, what sorts of things have we seen in this game so far?
In this game,
Yeah.
uh, the physicality of the Rangers, both these teams have been just torturing each other, and there's been so many penalties and fights, and there was a 5-on-4, and
There was a 4-minute major, I think, in the beginning with Kreider, right? I
huh?
think. I think Kreider got a 4-minute major, right? In the
Yeah,
beginning
it
of
was
the
a
game.
4-minute major. I
Right.
mean, they've been just battling and just, crunching each other, in the first period. Now I'm not watching the second. It's on, but I'm not. I'm obviously my back is to it, so I don't know if it's as physical. But I would have to say with Carolina, they gotta not get so many penalties because two of the points for the Rangers came off penalty shots.
Yeah,
Power
and
play.
and the Rangers are definitely a power play team,
They
right?
are.
Yeah, you don't want to give them at home. You don't want to give them power plays. Yeah, I mean, not if you want to beat them. Not that I want them to lose because I picked them to win it all. But I, you
In,
know,
in in the beginning of the game, Mystery, the Rangers scored like that, like lightning, if you don't mind my Tampa Bay reference. But but I'm thinking, Carolina has to answer right away to show that they mean business, and they did. Like they got a goal just like that. But the Rangers were like, okay, it's my turn to hit you, and they hit him twice really fast, and before you know it was 3-1. I mean, the Rangers aren't messing around. They seriously
uh,
aren't.
you touched on who I thought. I thought the Avalanche were really, really, really devastating. They were really they played really well. I know they can score, and I know that, so that keeps Bob happy. But you know what? They played really well,
And
much better
let's
than I thought they would in that first round.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they did look a lot better than expected, and that's one of the reasons why they were able to upset uh in that round against Winnipeg. That, and as much as people like to talk about how great of a goaltender Winnipeg has,
Right.
he's never really put up numbers in a playoff series. So that's
Mm,
that's one thing to consider. Part of it is Winnipeg is rarely in the playoffs, and when they are,
Right.
they haven't really gone deep. Um, and yeah, he wins in the regular season, and that's fine, and he looks really good in the regular season. But I mean, he got beat in the playoffs, and it's that simple. In the playoffs, it's more about timely goaltending than the best goaltending, right?
right.
Um, So that's why guys like Aiden Hill last year with Vegas were able to, do a lot more than expected.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why
so
the Devils beat the Rangers, because that guy, when they traded changed goalies, he was hot in a short period of time.
And Mystery, that comment invokes something I've been wondering. I don't get the sense we have those kind of extra super elite goalies that get shutouts, numerous nights and just can completely shut down an offense. I don't really see that anymore. Is that a thing?
well, I mean, if you look at the rule changes on goaltender equipment and you look at the rule changes on, you know, the rules at this point in time definitely favor offenses over defenses. So things that were acceptable defense when you had those big name shutdown goaltenders are no longer acceptable defenses. And that's a part of it. And the playoffs were kind of the last holdout for that, to a degree. And you just sort of see it slowly changing in that regard. So while the goaltenders are good, the defenses are what we're able to shut down shots and make them elite, right? And we don't have the ability to play those styles of defenses. I mean, you see the 1-3-1 played a lot right now. And that's designed, to basically funnel traffic to one side of the ice where it can be shut down. And it's hard for offenses to beat that. But the defense is more or less done in the neutral zone and blocks the transition game. So you have to find other types of games to play, or you have to simplify your transition game and try to rely on the short pass to break through. Um, so I mean, there's that. Wow, that was a tangent. Sorry, guys.
No, I think that was a functional tangent, a useful tangent.
Mhm.
I thought the Avalanche were a surprise too, by the way.
They were very good. And nobody's talking about Rantanen, right? Guy is an incredible playoff performer. And he had one hell of a first round.
You know what? Again, Colorado won a few years ago, so it shouldn't be that much of a shock. I guess we kind of overlooked it because they didn't win last year, and but they still got a damn good team, and they're a threat, and they can score. So
Well,
we really we shouldn't be that shocked. To be honest.
there's a lot to be said for recency bias as well, too, right? I mean, one of the reasons that I think other people outside of myself picked Tampa was because of the fact that they won two cups back to back not too long ago, right? And it sort of made sense that maybe they could pull out a third like Chicago did. But that didn't come to pass. And I think there are a lot of people who are saying that the window has closed for Tampa. I don't know that it's closed, but there definitely need to be changes.
Right.
Um,
Well,
Yeah,
that
I
could be.
agree. Just they need to tweak this thing.
You
Well, you
know,
know what
I
the funny thing is about? Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
I was just wanted to touch back on the differences, and how much pressure, more pressure on the goaltender. I don't think there's as many great um, defensive position players as there used to be. And then they're, like you said, they're so tough on the rules, the hitting rules now, and I don't think the physicality is there as it used to be. It's opened the game up to more offense because players know if they land base somebody, they're going to be in the box. They're going to get in the penalty. And if you give a good team a penalty shot and you keep giving it to them, sooner or later they're going to score on you, and you're going to wind up losing the game. So, I just don't know if there's as many great defensive player, a defensive position player that plays in front of the goalie that stops a lot of shots. I just don't think there's as many as there used to be.
Well, and the thing is, you really can't be as physical as you used to be in front of the net, right? That's a big thing. And so you have to do things like shot suppression and shot blocking. So it's not a surprise that like the teams that can do shot suppression and shot blocking are doing better in the playoffs in general. We talk about a heavy game, and yeah, that is a part of the playoffs, right? There is a physical nature to it, but at the same time, your physical play is along the boards now as opposed to what it was in front of the net.
Hey, we got Kip. Can you hear us?
Kip has arrived. He made it. Can you hear us? Can you see us, Kip?
You hear
Well,
me?
There you go.
yes, you're coming in loud
You
and
hear
clear.
me?
So, what were your thoughts on
I
the
used my
opening
phone,
round?
my phone issue, and then I had to reboot and whatever. You don't need to know this. I'm back.
Okay.
I heard the first part of the segment.
How you
Yeah,
doing?
no, just curious on your first round take.
Well, the one of the series that I got wrong was Colorado. They did pretty much what I was feared, and I thought maybe Winnipeg could play well enough defensively in the net to make it a series and win in 7 in a miraculous way and an upset, but it didn't happen that way. So that's one series I got wrong that I know of. I predicted Vegas and Dallas going 7. So we'll see tonight. I had Vegas. I think the winner of this will go to the finals. I'm pretty confident that. The Rangers did what I thought. Carolina did what I thought. Boston, I had Boston in 7, so that was nice.
Nice call.
That
That was
script has
scary.
been
I
written
got
for
them in the
years.
final.
You had more faith in him than I did.
And
But
more,
they-
and
they
then
pulled
You
and
know,
then what else?
should I read your email? Your text
What?
message, Bob?
No,
So-
well, last night, my brothers, like when the game was 1-0 late in the game, I'm like, they're gonna blow it. And then when it went overtime, all year they really weren't very good in overtime, and I'm like, oh man, now they're really gonna blow it. But they pulled through, so I'm happy about it.
I think, touching back to an earlier point, right? It definitely was a goaltending Achilles heel for it was a goaltending Achilles heel for Toronto. I was interested to get Kip's take on that. Unfortunately,
Oh, he'll come back.
yeah. So, but like I said, what I saw was that was that Wall was quite a bit better than Samsonov. And I think it's been that way in big games for a long time.
Do you guys want to get into the next round predictions? Kip, is there anything to add to the first round recap?
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver looks good on defense, but I don't think it will be enough against Edmonton. I think Edmonton, they're a major favorite in Vegas. I don't know how Carolina is the favorite in this series. I don't get how they are. Vegas is stupid. I like the Rangers in 7. I think Carolina, if they stay out of the box, they'll win because they're a good 5-5 team. They're better than the Rangers 5-5. But I just don't see it. I think they need.
By the way,
Pesci,
half
he's
your
out.
head's cut off, Kip. Just a
Yeah,
heads
I
up.
want to move back a little bit. Yeah.
There you go.
Better?
Yep. Now we see you.
Yes, now we see.
Okay. Pesci being out the first 2 games, a major loss. They just need to split at the Garden. I think Florida's the real deal. I think Florida's going to the finals. I still believe they are. And I believe they'll either play Dallas or Vegas. And you'll see one of those teams knock off Edmonton in the 3rd round in the West.
Now, do you agree with us, Kip? We all agreed that Florida seemed to be the most dominant team in the opening round. Who do you think was?
What's that?
Who do you think was the most dominant team in the opening round?
Most dominant team in the opening round? I would say the Florida Panthers. I was the most dominant team in the first round.
Yep, that was a consensus we had.
Yeah, that is it.
There was a vote for Colorado as well.
Yeah, Colorado's there too.
Oh yeah.
They were pretty damn good.
All right, so why don't we jump into the games to come? Let's start with the game the series that's happening behind Tony's back here. Rangers and the Hurricanes. I'm going to go ahead and offer up John's predictions on his behalf. And in that, he has the Rangers over the Hurricanes in 7. And I'm going to flip that and give it to the Hurricanes in 7. Yeah, I'm not picking the Rangers. Nope. Who do you got, Tony? Rangers and the Hurricanes?
Well, I picked the Rangers to win it all in the finals against Dallas, so I have to go with the Rangers.
Could happen.
Sticking to it. Bob?
Yeah, no, I think the Rangers in 7. I told you though that Carolina's a buzzsaw and they're going to be a hard out. They're so close in every category. The power plays, the scoring, the whole thing. And yeah, actually, you're right, Kip. Carolina was actually favored tonight by I think a goal and a half, I believe, which kind of shocked me a bit. But they're going to be a tough out. But I do think the Rangers are going to win in 7.
Power play right now for the Carolina.
Is it still?
They got to get one right now.
Is it still right? Is it still 3-1?
Yeah, they got to get one right now. They're in the power play. It's been a dirty first game. I expect the Rangers to win the first game, so pretty much it's going down the way I think. I think Carolina all it needs is split in there in pretty good shape the first, I think if they split the first 4 games, they're going to win the series, Carolina.
Does anybody have the breakdown on how Carolina is on the road versus home?
They're not a good road team. That I know. That's a breakdown.
Okay. So given that, I kind of feel like it's maybe going to go Rangers if it goes 7. I don't love it. I don't feel good about that. For a long time, Carolina has been a media darling team that hasn't produced. I think this is their chance for a deep run. Come
on, what are you doing? Missing glorious chances now.
I'm 50-50 on this series in reality, but I'm going to give it to the Rangers based on the road record for Carolina.
All right, so I think most of us are picking the Rangers.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina won. I really wouldn't be surprised the way I've seen this game so far.
Yeah,
the Rangers come out hot in game 1.
And the thing is, if Carolina finds the emotion, yeah, but if they also find the emotion later in the series, they can definitely take it over at the right time.
All right, let's go to the next series, Florida.
Yeah.
Before the next series, though, before that,
Florida's going to win in 5 games.
I got to ask you guys, though, Mister, you brought up a great point last time. The impact of injuries derailing a playoff run. Any notable injuries to talk about from the first round?
None outstanding that I'm aware of. Kip, do you know any? I mean, Pesci being out's big for Carolina.
Pesci.
How bad is he hurt? How bad is he hurt? Guys?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's a playoff thing where we're probably not gonna know until afterward. It's possible that he misses multiple games. I'm pretty sure he's been ruled out for games 1 and 2 at this point, right, Kip?
Oh man, that's big. Yeah.
All right, so Kip, you were talking about the next game. What was the next matchup you were bringing up?
Florida, Boston.
That's an interesting thing because there is an injury.
Games. I think Florida will get it done in 5 or 6 games.
There's an injury there to Sam Bennett.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that happened in the first round, and it's still ongoing. Now Sam Bennett is replaceable in that Florida lineup.
When they have this many chances, they need to score. 1 goal is not enough.
I think Florida wins it. I think Boston is sort of at the end of their run. I think Florida is going to physically punish them in the first couple of games, and that's really going to, that's really going to be sort of a change in that series. So I kind of feel like I kind of feel like it's probably going to go 6, and I feel like Florida comes out on
I
top.
like how Carolina's playing 5-5. I don't know if it's just me. Carolina looks really good 5-5 to me right now. They look like they're hitting them and just banging them around.
Now, Kip, who did you have for this Boston series?
Yeah, Florida.
Florida and 5, maybe 6.
5 or
I think
6?
5. Let's do 5.
Okay. How
I'll
about you,
commit.
Tony? Florida and the Bruins.
Well, I didn't really have.
Swayman is really good. Swayman's maybe the best goalie right now left.
Yeah, he
He's
is
really
actually.
good.
Mhm. I didn't have any faith in them in the first round, but they did win, and I'm glad because I like them. But I noticed that last year, I mean, we were clearly better than Florida. Most teams were, and we lost to them. And I noticed this year when we played them, we actually beat them quite a few times. And I think it's kind of like a revenge factor. And this time I'm picking Boston. I think they're going to win in 6. They owed them that. It could go 7. They could win in 7 too. Boston could.
What do the injuries look like on the Boston side?
Nothing significant as far as I know. They're fine. I mean, their offense is the biggest injury. They can't score. But I think this time that little umph and that little revenge is gonna get them. I think Florida's gonna go in thinking they're gonna win, and Boston's gonna take them. I really do. I really do.
Tony, who do you like in the Bruins game matchup?
I think it's going to be a tough series. I think I think Boston's going to lose in 7.
Could be.
Yeah,
So,
I think that Boston has exercised the past, and again, I didn't realize they were on the brink of 3 in a row, the 3-1 blowing those leads. So I think getting that OT win, huge momentum boost and revenge factor in play. I think it'll be a similar series. Boston's going to jump on them. Florida punches back with Boston coming out on top in 7.
right. And I would assume John's going to pick them too, considering you picked them to win it all.
So John actually has he wanted to say Boston over Florida in 6, although Florida did win the series in impressive fashion. He mistakenly thought that I almost called the Lightning Panther series. He's got it mixed around. I predicted the Lightning would sweep, which we all know
Yeah,
how
that was a great job. That was a good job, Rob. Good job.
Great job. Yeah. So I'm
Just
really
like
hoping Vegas loses, Kip, because then your finals are done. So
okay. Well,
really pulling for the Dallas Stars to end your pick.
here's the deal. I put $18 on the Dallas Florida finals, so I'm not dead yet in my quest.
Okay.
Hey, Tony,
Okay, your backup pick is still in play. Okay.
Just say go Boston and get it over with.
But here's the
hey Tony, I just wanted to get your take on the Boston series, the Boston and Panthers series before moving on. Like, what do you think are the keys for that series?
Well, I think Boston has to score more. They're relying on 1 or 2 guys to score, and if they don't get it, Pasternak doesn't get a hat trick, they don't win. I think Boston's good. I don't think they're as good as they were last year by any stretch. And to get knocked out in the first round, yeah, they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder, but they also don't have the same team they had last year. A couple of guys retired, if I'm correct.
Right.
And I just don't see them being as good and going as far. I don't see. I don't. I was surprised they got out of the last round, the first round actually. And the game went overtime. I really thought they were going to lose, but I think this time their season's going to end here real fast.
Yeah.
Pasternak had a great goal too. Did you see the goal at the end of the game? How he slipped behind the defense and he just made an amazing move. He is so good. He's so good.
Now, I will say that I think that in this series, for me, the key is can Boston prevent the scoring of the Panthers, right? That's what it really comes down to me, because Boston is going to have to favor low scoring games to get wins out.
Right.
And I think the Panthers offense is just so high octane right now that it's going to be really hard to for Boston to answer the bell.
They were,
That's
they were up 3-1 on a Toronto team that was okay, but they weren't fantastic, and they struggled to win that series. I mean, because they don't score, and they couldn't stop them from scoring. And you're correct. I just don't see it in Boston. I mean, I mean, they struggled to win that first round.
I'm with Tony. I'm with Tony 100%.
Well, I don't really think that they pretty much stopped. It wasn't like Toronto scored a ton of goals. I mean, Swayman.
It was a great series.
So
It was a wonderful series.
Huh?
Yeah,
it was a great series. It was a great series.
Right.
I mean, the last three games were 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I mean, it was a great first round series. The seventh game for a first round game 7 was a classic. It was a great game last. I mean, I can watch that game from in a different way 5 different times. Those are my favorite games. The 0-0, 1-0 game, 1-1. Those are my favorite games. I loved last night's game. Loved it. And I cannot wait for Vegas Dallas tonight. I don't know who's going to win. It's going to be, but it is a huge game for a first round. I mean, this is one of the biggest first round games probably in the history of the sport tonight.
And both those teams have played such close games. I mean, and now they're in the 7th game. I mean, nobody's blowing anybody out in this series. I mean, in any game, they're all pretty darn close, especially the last couple of games. They've come right down to the end. I mean,
I think what Dallas has to guard against is the Vegas offense going off, because they can at any given time. They can score.
We're still going. We're still going.
Dallas has looked. I disagree with Bob. I think Dallas has looked amazing in this series. After the second game, the 3 games in a row they won. The second game went to overtime, but it's because the Vegas's goalie was just out of his mind. And then now they're back to what's his name, Hill, the big fucking sorry, cannot curse. The big balloon in net. And I feel that Dallas is almost a better team on the road right now than they're at home as far as defensive structure. We'll see what happens. Dallas is hoping they
but
score.
Don't you think Vegas can go off with their offense at any given time, because it's pretty explosive?
So is Dallas's offense.
Oh, I know, but I'm just telling you, you have to watch against. I mean, let's be real. You actually picked Vegas in the beginning, so
in 7,
right? No, you picked them all to win it all. Am I right, Rob?
Yes. No,
I got the Bruins over the Oilers in the final.
No.
I have Florida over Vegas with Verhaeghe winning the Conn Smythe.
Okay, is that what?
Oh wow, I thought you had Vegas winning it all.
Yeah, I thought so too.
On the show, at least.
In my pool, I switched to Florida over Vegas.
Okay.
But I do have bets in Vegas.
Your backup pick.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be Florida Vegas if Vegas can win. Otherwise, I think it's gonna be Dallas, Florida. That's how I feel. Simple.
You think Florida would beat Dallas if it was that?
I do. Right now, I mean, look, I can't make the prediction though right now. It's unfair to the sport because injuries. I mean, Florida's goalie, he's as good as Big Bob. He's as good as any goalie that's left. So
the thing about Bobrovsky is he can make the timely save in the big game.
100,000%. Yep.
And that's what's important. It's not the individual game statistics. It's not dominating games. It's about making the right save at the right time to either keep momentum going or to change momentum in a game. And we saw that in round 1 from Bobrovsky.
All right.
Anyway,
comment on that series?
I think Dallas. I think they came in with the best record in number 1. I think they thought they were going to just walk through this series, and I think they took it really a little bit lighter than they should have. And now they're facing, game 7 at home. And as we know in hockey, you don't have such a great home ice advantage like you do in other sports. The visiting team can go in there and win that game. There's no question about it. I just think it's going to be a terrific game tonight, and it can go either way,
Overtime again, maybe. What do you think?
It could be, absolutely. There's no question.
If it goes to overtime, you got to watch Mark Stone on the tip. I mean, he's dangerous. SOB, that Mark Stone.
And don't worry, the show's not ready for children. If you slip up a little dirty word here or there, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that I picked Dallas to win the whole thing, so I'm staying with Dallas. I feel that this game is going to be a 1 goal game. Period. Stop. End of story. Whether it goes to overtime or not, I think there's a good chance it does, especially with both teams knowing what's on the line. I would even potentially say that this has the potential of being like multiple overtime, multiple overtimes.
Like a double overtime type of thing.
Yeah, like
Good.
maybe double. I don't think we go to triples yet. Um, but it's going to happen at some
I
point.
attended the first and only double overtime game in the playoffs so far
Really?
between the Islanders and Carolina. It was the only double overtime game so far.
Right.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I mean,
The shiny
yeah.
moment of the series, right?
Well, I mean, it's better than getting swept on a Saturday afternoon. I enjoyed myself, so I'm happy we won that game. I have a lot of pride, so I knew we were going to beat Carolina. Didn't really Pittsburgh. I still don't get to this day how they did not end up in the playoffs. You cannot explain to me how they did not get to 95 points this year. I don't get it. And you can say, oh, they traded Gensel. Well, you know what? Bunting pretty much was a clone of Gensel when he played for the Penguins in late in the season. And they went on a hot streak anyway. They didn't do enough, I guess, in the middle of the season. And it just cost them in the numbers game at the end of the year. But I mean, they definitely would have not been swept by the Rangers. They would have won at least a game, probably 2 or 3 at least.
All right. So then we got the Edmonton and Vancouver series. I'm going to go ahead and throw John's pick. He thought Edmonton turned out to be way more impressive than he thought. And so he's taking them to beat Vancouver in 5. I will echo that pick. I got Edmonton in the finals. I have to stick with them. I have Edmonton winning in 5.
I'm going to disagree on that one, I think. But to me, the key is, again, it's going to come down to goaltending. I keep saying that, but like the injuries in net for Vancouver, are sort of a thing to watch here. If the guys that they've pulled in can, do their jobs and make the timely save, then Vancouver can absolutely win that series. It's a hard series to win, and it's going to also depend on how quick the defense from Vancouver can pick up the offensive play from Edmonton. They've got to focus on shot and pass blocking. That's it. They've got to be larger than life on the ice in this series if they want to win. So I'm going to say Vancouver in 7.
On the road, no less. That's because Game 7 will be in Edmonton.
Yeah, correct.
You know what? I'm picking Edmonton. Yeah. Vancouver's strange.
No, Game 7's in Vancouver.
Oh, that's right. Vancouver finished like really high in the league. That's right.
The
Yeah.
second, yeah. Game 7's
Yeah.
in Vancouver. They have home ice. I like that. I like Edmonton though. Either way, I think it'd be interesting series. Vancouver has the defense to at least push them around a little bit, but I think Draisaitl, it's just too much. And I mean, you put him on the second line. I mean, you already have to worry about it. Hyman and McDavid, who had 1 goal, 11 assists in the first round. I just think it's a good. I think Draisaitl's going to take over in this series. He's going to be too much for Vancouver in the long run.
I have been picking sort of guys that I think have not been talked about enough from the first round. And I think Edmonton has another of those guys in Evan Bouchard.
Oh, he's great. He's one of the better defensemen in the league. He's got potential to be one of the better defensemen in the league for sure. I think he will be. When he was drafted, there was a ton of talk about him, and he's lived up to the hype, and I think he will live up to the hype. If he stays healthy, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's really that good.
Bob, what do you like?
I like Edmonton in 6 because their offense is just too much. And Vancouver's strange. Like they can go the whole game look lousy, and all of a sudden they'll get like a couple quick goals, and then you don't. I mean, one night they did it. Who the heck were they playing in the first round? they actually, it was Nashville actually. It looked like Nashville was going to take them out, and that game was all but over. And all of a sudden, they scored late, and they scored quick. I mean, they scored like 3 goals in a row late. But you can't do that against Edmonton because they'll just, if you get behind on them, they'll just kill you. I like Edmonton in 6.
Tony?
I like Edmonton's speed. I here again, I just think their speed. I don't think Vancouver can keep up with them in 7 games. I think their speed. I'm not real big on home crowds, but their crowd's amazing at their place, and I can see this series going. I can see Edmonton winning in 6. Yeah.
All right. So there you have it, guys. I'm assuming we're not going to touch the hypothetical Avalanche Stars or Vegas matchup, or do we want to?
I mean, we can. I mean, I think we've seen enough to know, what these teams are potentially.
I like the winner
again,
of tonight's game either way.
yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Kip. I picked Dallas, so I'm sticking with Dallas.
Right.
Yeah.
Same. I got Dallas going to the conference finals, so I got to stick with that.
Assuming they win today, yeah. I picked them to win it all on the last show, so I got to stick with them. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, you're on the you're on the ropes too.
All right.
I'm sticking with them. I saw the win in 7 because that is a great matchup, by the way. That's going to be fierce. So I like Dallas in 7.
Okay.
Tony, you got a idea about the hypothetical Avalanche matchup?
With Dallas,
Potentially Dallas, potentially Vegas.
Right.
yeah, I would say if it's I would say if it's Dallas and the Avalanche, I think the Avalanche can beat them. I really do.
They can. They can score too. Both teams can score. They have high power.
But I picked Dallas to go to the finals, and the Rangers to beat them in the finals. So I'll stick with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if I sometimes I just don't like the way Dallas approaches a game. I really don't. They just don't seem. They seem like just to show up at times, and it bothers me that they're not playing better than they're supposed to be, or
Especially at home. Especially
season.
at home.
Huh?
Especially at home.
Yes, I agree. It just they leave that little doubt in my mind, in the back of my mind, that they could lose at home. They just something about them, the way they approach the game. It seems like they think that they just show up, they're going to win. It doesn't matter. And I just they scare me. They worry me. I could see them not making and losing tonight, and not making it beyond this tonight. Yeah.
All right, so gentlemen, closing thoughts on the first round, the upcoming second round, playoffs overall.
I mean, Rangers Carolina will be a war. If Carolina stays out of the box, they got a shot. Florida's going to win. Like I said, Edmonton's going to play either Vegas or Dallas, and it'll be an interesting Final Four either way. See what happens. There's a lot of hockey.
Right.
I'll say one thing. Wyatt Johnston has been incredible. Look for him tonight to score another goal. We'll see. He's been red hot. So that's all I'll say.
Mr. A?
Closing thought is, first round was a lot of incredibly fun hockey. A lot of nail biting situations, which we love this time of year. Let's be honest. I look for more in the second round.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. E. I mean, everything was close. It kind of went like we all figured it would, but it was close and fun to watch. And I think in the next round, I just got that feeling that Boston's going to knock them out. Florida. I know everybody thinks Florida, but everybody thought Boston last year too. So I think they're going to win. But We'll see. And I also think that Dallas is going to win the night, and then they're going to end up being in a real tough battle with Colorado, and then I think they're going to end up probably beating them. So.
And I think I'll also echo one of the threads I put out last time that, I wouldn't be surprised if any one of these teams can win a series against each other.
Right.
I think they're all pretty closely matched, and that was one of the things that the salary cap sought to create, and it did create those interesting matchups and that these types of close games. So whether you like it or you hate it, it's led to a more competitive league and a more interesting playoffs.
For sure. Any parting words, Tony?
I agree, and I think that these playoffs are 100% more entertaining and more pressure packed than the NBA playoffs right now.
I would agree with that. Now, folks, we're actually going to reconvene tomorrow night to recap the NBA first round and project the second round. So no argument from me on that, Tony. The NHL playoffs are vastly superior in terms of excitement. So, but we're still going to do the show. So with that, folks, I appreciate everyone joining us, the panel once again coming on to discuss all things hockey. But that's a wrap for tonight. And so signing off here for the sports show with Bob, Tony, Mr. E, and Kip. Have a good night, everybody.